Okay guys, we're going to continue with the same topic of elimination, but I want to show you a trick that you can do with multiplication to make sure that you can solve any system of equations. So if we look at this system of equations here, we notice that it would be awful to graph because it's not in y equals mx plus b. It would be awful to do substitution because we don't have a variable all by itself. And so we're left with the option of elimination. However, we can't add to make a variable disappear, and we can't subtract to make a variable disappear. So we have to take an extra step, and that step is to multiply everything by a number to get the same coefficient. So if you recall, when we're solving equations, I can do something to both sides of the equation as long as I do the same thing to both sides of the equation, and it's still equivalent. This is the same concept. So my goal here is to get the y's to both have the same coefficient. So in order to make this y have a 6 in front of it, I need to multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to change my second equation. So the first equation is still 5x plus 6y equals negative 8. The second equation becomes 4x plus 6y equals negative 10. And now I'm going to do elimination. I need to do subtraction to make those disappear. 5 minus 4 is 1x, and negative 8 plus 10 is 2. I know what x is, now I have to find y. So to find y, I pick whichever equation is my favorite. I'm going to use the second one. And I solve for y, just like before. So it gives me 4 plus 3y equals negative 5. 3y equals negative 9. Y equals negative 3. So your final answer, x comma y. Now, I understand you might not get the hang of that yet, but we'll do more practice with this. Let's take a look at another problem. Alright, so let's start by first thinking, what variable am I going to make disappear? Is there one that would be easy to make disappear? Well, I'm looking at my x's, and I don't think either of those are going to work out too well. If I look at my y's, however, I've got a 1y and a 2y. I could easily make that first equation have a 2y. I just need to multiply it by 2. So my new equation is 4x plus 2y equals 46. And I see that I need to do subtraction to make the y's disappear. It gives me negative 1x equals negative 9. Divide both sides by a negative 1. X equals 9. Now that I know what x is, pick an equation and find y. Gives me 18 plus y is 23. Subtract 18 from both sides. Y is 5. Final answer, 9 comma 5. Now I know what you might be thinking. What if I can't multiply one by something to make the other? Well, let's take a look. In this equation here, you notice that you can't multiply 3 by anything to make 4. You can't multiply 3 by anything to make 5. So what are we going to do? Well, in this case, we can take some extreme measures and multiply both equations by something. I could multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 4, and that'll end up with a 12x. Or I could multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 3, and I'll end up with a 15y. Either option will work, it's just up to you which numbers make you happier. So I'm going to stick with the 15y since I already have that on my board. So that gives me 20x plus 15y equals 40. I'm doing 5 times 4, 5 times 3, and 5 times 8. And then I need to do, that plus sign is pretty awful. Then I need to do 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 23 is negative 69. I see that I need to do some addition to make the y's disappear. Gives me 29x equals negative 29. Divide both sides by 29, and I get x equals negative 1. Do a little substitution to find out what y equals. That gives me negative 4, plus 3y is 8, 3y is 12, y equals 4. So my final answer there is negative 1, comma 4. So you see how that is a possibility for us. It makes using elimination work for any situation. Let's try one more here. I want you to push pause and give it a try on your own. What do you think? What are you going to multiply by? So as I'm looking at it, I see two options. I can either multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 3, and that'll end up with a 6x. Or I could multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 2 and end up with a 10y. Either option's going to work for you. So I'm going to go with the 10y. That gives me 15x plus 10y equals 50, and 4x plus 10y equals 6. I see I need to do some subtraction here. That'll give me 15 minus 4 is 11. 50 minus 6 is 44. Divide both sides by 11. X equals 4. Now I just have to find y. 2 times x plus 5y equals 3. Subtract 8. 5y equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 5. Y is negative 1, so final answer, 4, negative 1. Okay, so you guys are getting the hang of this. Why don't you practice a few problems here? I've got 4 problems for you. Page 359, numbers 1 through 4. And you'll notice you're going to need to do quite a bit of multiplication in order to be able to eliminate. Okay? Good luck.